Dynasty is making a comeback. Mallory West learned how the show could have a big economic impact.
Duck Dynasty: The Revival will premiere on A&E this summer.
We're really excited about it.
It'll follow Willie and Corey Robertson planning the future of Duck Commander. It'll also follow the children who are navigating marriage, kids, and having their own business. But the show is expected to have an impact on more than just the Robertsons. The original Duck Dynasty ran for 11 seasons, peaking with nearly 12 million viewers. The vice president of the Monroe-West Monroe Visitors Bureau says she expects an influx of tourists with the revival of the show.
When Duck Dynasty first aired back in 2012, it was in the springtime, and then the following spring in 2013, our visitation to this area grew exponentially from people interested in the show. So we're looking forward to hopefully an increased visitation again as well.
In Monroe, the Robertsons are already making an impact with the opening of their new event center, The Hub. Mike Downhour with the Monroe Chamber of Commerce says he can't wait to see more of what the Robertsons will bring to the Twin Cities.
We've been working with them on some of their endeavors here in Monroe, and that includes their new arena, their new hall, kind of a wedding venue too. It's called The Hub, and we did a ribbon cutting a few months ago for Sadie and for Willie and their families. They've got big plans, and I guess my main point is it's good for West Monroe, it's good for Ouachita Parish, it's good for Monroe, it's good for all of Northeast Louisiana.
The revival is set to include 20 one-hour episodes over 2 seasons. In the Twin Cities, Mallory West, KNOE 8 News.